Bigfoot Classified contains content that is graphic in nature, and listener discretion is advised. Bigfoot Classified relies largely on news documents, eyewitness accounts, press conferences, and interviews. Every episode is produced with respect to the victims, families, and communities involved. Some of the interviews, quotes, and broadcasts have been recreated. Numerous hours of research have been done regarding these stories. And if you have a theory, question, or feel that we've missed something, we encourage you to visit BigfootClassified.com. Bigfoot, also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, is a purported ape-like creature said to inhabit the forests of North America. This is Bigfoot Classified.
Let's go back to the small town of Battle Mountain, circa August 5th, 1999. Battle Mountain is a strategically located town of 4,000 people on Interstate 80 at the junction with Nevada State Route 305. Known as the Armpit of America, the town takes you right back to the 1950s with its cowboy-esque decor, diners, motels, and rolling hills. You would never know that over 23 years ago, conspiracy, secrets, and a government cover-up struck the town. This is part 2 of the case of Bigfoot on Battle Mountain. To recap, on August 5th, 1999, lightning strikes caused multiple range fires as convective clouds gathered over Battle Mountain, Nevada. The juniper and sagebrush of Battle Mountain burst into flames, becoming the Battle Mountain Complex Fire. Over 610 firemen were rushed to northern Nevada to help put out hundreds of lightning-sparked fires. And while focusing on some inhabited areas, firefighters left some flames untreated in distant Nevada. The fire devastated the area, but on August 7th, in the early afternoon, the blaze brought out a creature not of this world, a Sasquatch. Between 20 and 30 firefighters witnessed the injured creature roaming in front of them. Not quite human, but not quite mammal. The 7'5" creature was gravely hurt. It had burns, tainted hair, and an equine-like smell. Whatever it was dying. Burns covered its hands, feet, legs, and face. The fire team called a vet and a doctor to save the animal, not knowing what it was. After examining the scene, the veterinarian said the creature was too human-like to treat. The creature had a man-ape hybrid face. It had hair all over, except for the chest and hands and uncircumcised male sexual features. The creature's 5-fingered hands with opposable thumbs were 1.5 times the size of a human hand. One of its nails was injured, and its nails were heavier and thicker. It had human-like lips and a thick bone forehead. It has ears like humans, but no dangling earlobes, strong-jawed, and with beady eyes, and a head twice as big as a human head. After a cut down, the doctor administered Demerol and morphine through an IV to keep the creature alive at the scene. The creature whined, groaned, and grumbled in pain while receiving injury care and life support. Patting and petting relaxed the patient. A witness said the creature responded well to a young Native American woman who had been treating it since it came toward them. Despite looking like an animal, the creature preferred human kindness, especially when in agony. The medics used a spine board to carry the injured beast. Its 7.5-foot frame threatened to overpower the board's plastic. The staff used an ambulance stretcher to transport the beast, but it was still too big. The creature was hauled away in a utility vehicle, not an ambulance. The crew feared that if an ambulance was seen leaving the scene, it would be reported that a firefighter had been injured in the blaze. The initial sighting and extraction took 3 hours. The creature's treatment team was told it was going to a local hospital, but they were not told where. And after that, no trace of the creature was ever found, nor was the discovery ever made public. Nobody could know what happened on August 7th. The crew involved in the creature's care and extraction signed an affidavit declaring the whole incident private under penalty of felony arrest and jail time. The crew was threatened with losing their retirement, benefits, and service ranking if they spoke out. So, nobody could discuss it. Nobody knew. Like many previous purported Bigfoot sightings, the authorities intervened and shut it down. We left off last time with an anonymous witness coming forward to the BFRO, the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, with their account on what happened that August 7th. The BFRO investigated, and after speaking to the witness, hearing his account but not being able to find any tangible proof, other witnesses and remnants left at the scene, they quickly decided the whole thing was a hoax. After Doug wrote the Battle Mountain incident off, the whole affair caught the attention of science teacher Tom Powell. Tom has consistently been at the forefront of Sasquatch research across the states and beyond. He began his career as a conventional field researcher with the BFRO before going off on his own to conduct research outside of the organization. Based on his interviews with witnesses, his book, The Locals, which is a landmark work on Sasquatch, was written. Now, The Locals is the book that a lot of the information in this show has come from. Tom worked tirelessly, interviewing locals and medical and geographic experts in order to distinguish the facts from fiction. Tom's pivotal approach towards Sasquatch research derives from his belief that the creatures should not be searched for. They've already been found. His research focuses more on the cover-ups that surround so many Bigfoot sightings over the years. Tom's work is seen as crucial in the development of the habitation method of research and is now required reading for all aspiring Bigfoot researchers. In his most recent book, Edges of Science, he presents eyewitness accounts of unusual events that occurred during Bigfoot encounters, such as cloaking, mind speak, orbs, and UFOs. So, after he, in his words, breaks ranks with the BFRO, he began to look into the Battle Mountain incident alone. The main reason for Doug and his BFRO colleagues gave for calling the incident a hoax was that John had told them that when he revisited the site where the creature had been, the whole area had been destroyed by dozers. The BFRO found it too convenient, a neat way to tie up any loose ends. But Tom felt differently. Tom looked at it from a different angle. Why would John say that he could go back to the site if it was a hoax? Surely an easier way to explain the lack of evidence would have been to tell the BFRO that he was not permitted to go back there. More likely, as John had claimed, they had all been made to sign their secrecy to the incident. Following this, Tom wrote,
"Forget the part about the bulldozer for a minute. I have a real problem with the suggestion that a person could concoct such a highly detailed fabrication and build it around a completely verifiable wildfire within 2 days of the fire's beginning. Then, the supposedly phony witness called our investigator at his own expense and talked for 70 minutes, offering highly detailed observations about the animal that he saw, which are consistent with everything we've come to understand about Bigfoots as a species. Some of the observations are so original that even a skilled fiction writer would be hard-pressed to devise them on such short notice. The jaw, the hair, the uncircumcised penis, the resigned demeanor."
Tom spoke to an EMT, and without revealing his true intentions behind the conversation to the medic, he asked them how they would treat burns over 45% on the scene in a densely wooded area. The EMT described that they would do word for word with John's account of what the creature had been administered. Tom concluded that John had likely been one of the medics on the scene, based on the ease in which he had recounted the, quote, alphabet soup of agency acronyms and abbreviations convincingly. This person knew their government agencies. Tom then goes on to explain the difference between John's account versus the hundreds of hoax stories he had heard over the years.
"Virtually all the hoax reports we receive on the BFRO website are perpetrated by people with a transparently teenaged mindset that is generally preoccupied with sex. Hoaxers never make themselves available for follow-up verification, even by phone. And if they did, they would not remain on the line for 70 minutes and never once contradict their original story. I've spoken with almost 80 witnesses face-to-face, and far more over the telephone, and I am quite certain of this. The initial report and the ensuing contacts with John, the witness, have too much precise and convincing detail to fit the pattern that virtually all hoaxes fall into. It is my feeling that the person was not lying, and this set of described events really happened. There's simply too much precise detail and a complete absence of error or contradiction. How tragic, yet how predictable it is that the government denies the public access to knowledge of a living human relative, an anthropological bombshell, and one of the planet's most remarkable beings.
Tom did attempt to do his own investigation to the incident. He had a contact speak to a deputy incident commander who was on the scene of the Battle Mountain fire. The contact asked the deputy if anything strange had happened during the blaze and was told no. The contact pushed the deputy, asking anything like a Bigfoot sighting, and again told no. Tom concluded there was no real way to discern if the incident had been successfully covered up or if it was all an elaborate hoax dreamt up by John. But Tom blames his own colleagues for this. He felt that had John's sighting report been posted on the BFRO website when it was made, other witnesses would have come forward with their accounts. 3 years later, Tom decided to pick up the case again, and this time he wrote to John. Not expecting a reply from his anonymous source, he didn't hold out too much hope. However, less than 24 hours later, John replied,
I had almost forgotten about the event until now. Have not spoken due to the classification that was put on it. The patient was taken to a university or some hospital that was not disclosed. As for verification, well, other than my contact with you, I know of no one other than those that were there at the scene. As affidavit was signed under Department of Interior and U.S. Forest Service as 1. Confidential under penalty of felony arrest and jail time. 2. Immediate loss of government service rank, loss of retirement, and benefits. I doubt anyone will come forward except like this. Several meetings were held in reference to him. I do respect his rights of life and will always be a believer of their existence beyond any shadow of doubt as seen with my own eyes, smelled with my own nose, and heard with my own ears. His image is still visible as it was then. No monster, no animal, but a lineage of native man. His trust in us to take care of him and recognize that harm was not meant when contact was made. Knowing that care would be given to him, I'm sure Department of Interior knows where he may have been released. What more can I say? Specifics, features, anatomy? Well, stand in front of a mirror and think of a man's evolution.
Even 3 years after coming forward, John's story had not changed. He stood by his claims as being the truth, and as Tom noted, he was still around to check his email and reconfirm his story. But if that's the case, why was such an effort made to cover up the incident? So much so that even 23 years later, we still do not know the truth about what happened that August afternoon. Tom Powell wrote multiple theories as to why he believes this, and so many other Bigfoot incidents in his book, The Locals, which is well worth a read. Tom gave 6 different reasons as to why the government would want to keep the existence of Bigfoot covered up.
Government paternalism. It is felt by decision makers in government agencies that the public is somehow not ready to accept the stunning fact that Bigfoot-style creatures exist, and at least one species of primates is comfortably ensconced in the forests of North America. Perhaps the justification for this arrogant position is derived from the Christian paradigm that humans are their sole heirs to the planet. The acknowledgement of another species so close to our own, even superior in terms of some sensory capabilities, would destabilize the Christian paradigm that currently dominates Western religious thought. Keep mysteries classified. Perhaps the government entities that we trust as protectors are really just as baffled by this matter as anyone. As with the UFO phenomenon, the knee-jerk reaction to government, when confronted with a genuine and profound mystery, is to classify the entire matter as a secret. This avoids the uncomfortable alternative of having to stand up and acknowledge that the people we pay to understand threats and protect us from them have no real idea what is happening in this particular realm. There is an axiom that may exist within the government that boils down to, if we don't understand something, keep it a secret. That way, no one will ever ask us to explain it. Love of secrets. People feel more important when they have secrets that must be kept. Government agency personnel need to feel their job is important, and having important secrets that must be kept serves to validate their work. Every branch of government seems to have some kind of secret that must be protected, and it is no surprise to me that the land management agencies want a secret also. Maybe someday they will even be called to Washington to brief the president or members of Congress on the big, important secret that the public is not prepared to know. What fun. The endangered species argument. If Bigfoots were officially acknowledged, it wouldn't be long before an injunction was issued, and most timber removal from federal land was halted. It is held that environmentalists will immediately seize upon the idea, spotted owl style. They will then find a sympathetic federal judge who will issue an injunction that stops all logging and mining on national forests and rangelands, which qualify as Sasquatch habitat. While it is probably true that preservationists would try to get the Sasquatch declared as the ultimate endangered species, there is one big but not so obvious problem with this whole line of thinking. Sasquatches are in no way endangered. They may be rare, but they are not endangered. On their own, they keep their numbers down, though I also suspect that most estimates of their numbers are too low. It is possible that recent increase in deer populations have also precipitated an increase in Bigfoot populations. They do eat deer, and that is a good thing because there are not enough other natural predators to keep deer herds in check. Deer populations have exploded lately, and we should hope that there are Sasquatches in this world, or we are soon to be absolutely overrun with deer. Bigfoots do not seem to require virgin, old-growth forests. All they seem to require is a food source and a place where they can be left alone. Short of clearing all the forests at once, I, for one, would strenuously argue that Bigfoots are in no way endangered by forest policy, and there is virtually nothing we could do to reduce their numbers, even if we set about to do so. National defense. As previously stated, we will only be able to understand why the public is being denied available information about Sasquatches when we know more about the creatures and their capabilities. Since that information will not come from government sources, we are going to have to find out ourselves. We already have a good deal of information to suggest that all of the senses of these creatures are more acute than our own. Not only is their sight, hearing, and smell more acute than our own, but they likely process other sensory capabilities that we absolutely lack. They can project a rancid smell much like a skunk, and the smell is so overpowering as to nearly incapacitate a person. This capability alone suggests that a tactical military value in better understanding the Sasquatch. I'm told that the military is already researching tactical use of overpowering but non-toxic smells. Other possibilities relating to national defense and tactical military value may not be as far-fetched as they first seem. Infrasound has already been discussed as a concept with tactical military value. The fact that Sasquatches possess infrasound capabilities seems likely. When it comes to mental capabilities that we humans do not have, it probably does not end there. Every researcher I know of who has been successful in putting themselves near a Sasquatch has mentioned a sixth sense that the creature seems to possess. I have tried to quantify this matter to the best of my ability, but to attempt to quantify such a speculative matter is futile at present. Genetic research. The final possibility centers on the fact that Sasquatches may be human ancestors of such a close lineage that their genetic makeup offers the most intriguing possibilities for genetic research and crossbreeding that have ever been considered. Sasquatches may be the enduring descendants of the Homo erectus lineage that generally considered to be extinct. Neanderthal man, Homo neanderthalensis, by way of Homo heidelbergensis, is another distinct possibility. If either or both of these human ancestors endures today in the manifestation we call Bigfoot, then the possibilities for interbreeding and other genetic experiments with humans become either intriguing or alarming, depending on which side of the ethical question one stands.
And with that was the end of Tom's research into the Battle Mountain Bigfoot incident of August 1999. Tom went on to write another book on the mysterious creature and the various reports, incidents, and sightings that plague the Bigfoot community even years after the fact. Will we ever truly know what happened that day? While John still stands by his account even years later, without another eyewitness coming forward to support his testimony, you'll be hard-pressed to prove the incident any further. So with that, I'll leave you on the Battle Mountain incident with Tom Powell's bleak conclusion. How tragic, yet how predictable, it is that the government denies the public access to knowledge of a living human relative, an anthropological bombshell, and one of the planet's most remarkable beings.